Shalom, everyone. I am Dr. Renee, the Assistant Pastor of Empowerment of Faith, Kingdom Center for Ambassadors. I am certainly elated to be able to join you once again to share on the continuation of making healthier choices as a kingdom ambassador. Did you know that whatever you do not control will control you? But before we get into the word on today, I want to remind you, please remember to like and subscribe, and also click on the upper right-hand bell if you're watching us by way of YouTube, so that every time we come on, you will be notified. And then on our other social media platforms, remember to like and share. But getting back to what I was already teaching on, whatever you do not control will control you. As a kingdom ambassador, we have been designed, once you have a born again spirit that's operating inside of you, we have been designed to dominate our circumstances and not allow our circumstances to dominate us. So I want to continue on the message that I was teaching about making a better choice as a kingdom ambassador. Okay, so whatever you do not control will control you. And some examples are sin, bad eating habits, fits of rage, and even complacency. Yes, you're here to dominate your circumstances. And then in Galatians, we talked about in chapter 5, verse 6, the word Elohim says, "But I say, walk by the Spirit." Now I know in some of your translations, it may have a capital S, but this is not talking about the Holy Spirit. It's talking about your born again spirit. So let's look at this again. "But I say, walk by your born again spirit, and you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusts against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary to one another, that you may not do the things that you desire. But if you are led by your born again spirit, you are not under the religious or ceremonial laws. Now the deeds of the flesh are obvious, which are adultery, sexual immorality, uncleanness, lustfulness, idolatry, sorcery, hatred, strife, jealousies, outbursts of wrath, rivalries, divisions, heresies, envy, murders, drunkenness, orgies, and the things of like, of which I forewarn you, even as I also forewarn you, that those who practice such things will not inherit the kingdom of Elohim." This is very important for us to remember, because the Father wants us to be led by our born again spirit and to function in the capacity in which He has called us to do. Yes, we can dominate our situation, our circumstances, and we need to know that as an overcoming ambassador. We can overcome and we can dominate our situation as an ambassador. All right, and then also looking again at verse 22, it reads, "But the fruit of the Spirit," what spirit? Your born again spirit, "is love." And so we know that the Hebrew word for love is ahab. So what does ahab mean? It means that I am revealing the heart of the Father. And so as I reveal the heart of the Father, what flows out of this is joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faith, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. It's very important to know that as my born again spirit has been renewed, the spirit of Elohim is going to flow from me and through me. All right, so in verse 24, let's look at it. "Those who belong to the Messiah have crucified the flesh with its passions and lusts. If we live by our born again spirit, let's also walk by the Spirit. Let's not become conceited, provoking one another and envying one another." So we said earlier that whatever we don't control will control us. Well, I need to ask myself, what can I control? Here are some things that I can control. I can control my food choices. I can control my cooking methods. I can control my portions. I can control my daily exercise. I can control my mental health. I need to know that I have been given the authority to do this. And once I make up my mind, I've fastened my mind to do exactly what I've been called to do, it's easy. See, the Father, he needs something to work with. Many times we'll go to the altar asking the pastor or the minister to pray for us in particular areas, but really you have already been given the authority to conquer it. You just need to make up your mind that you can do that. Okay, so whatever the area the struggle is, listen to this, whatever area the struggle is in, until the source of the matter is perceived differently, we will always get the same result. Now, according to the word of Elohim in Yochanan, Gamil 2, this is a precept that I want to share with you on today. And it says, "Dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well." So we know that our soul is our mind, our will, and our emotions. The Father is concerned about every aspect of our lives. Not only does he want you to be blessed abundantly, but he wants you to be blessed in your mind. He wants you to be blessed in your body. He wants you to be blessed in your emotions. Okay, so we are to enjoy good health in our bodies and in our minds and in our wills and in our emotions. All right, so Elohim is concerned about the whole man. So I was talking about the source of thought. If my precept is wrong, then I'm going to be a prisoner of my misconception. This is very important. There are 6 stages to conformity, and I wanted to share these stages with you once again. I know this is a refresher for some of you, but I want you to look at it in another aspect as well. Nothing will change until we do what? Change the way that we think. We know that a precept is the original thought, and then the concept is a conceived precept. Then we have our convictions. That's what we believe. Our belief system, which is a set of convictions, and then our ideology, a system of ideas that you accept as being true. And then our philosophy, it becomes our lifestyle. If my lifestyle does not reflect the kingdom of Elohim, then I need to go back to the manufacturer and see what changes do I need to make, because somehow, somewhere, I have gotten off in my precept. And that's why my concepts are improper or incorrect. And then my convictions, I'm no longer convicted by the things that I should be convicted, but I'm flowing from the wrong concept because my precept has been distorted. All right, so let's look at this. And we talked about how having a wrong precept, how it can be very damaging. Nothing will change until we do what? Change the way that we think. So wrong precepts will birth wrong lifestyles. Many times we say that we want to change the way that we eat or the way that we do a certain thing, but I have to change my source of thought. So if I line that up with the word of Elohim, and then I will see that I'll be right back on task. All right, so number 1, we're looking at the wrong version of precepts. Okay, if you feel like you can eat any and everything and as much as you want, you're starting off wrong. That's the wrong precept to have. Number 2, concept. Restricting what I eat doesn't make sense. If you feel that restriction is not for you, you're once again on the wrong path. Convictions. I can continue to eat even after I'm full. This is the wrong way of thinking. I've heard people say this next one, belief system. Well, we all have to die from something. Okay, well, don't make your reservation early by eating the wrong things. Yeah, there are many premature deaths by eating the wrong things and putting the wrong things in our body. All right, and ideology, I don't have time to change. I'm too busy to exercise. I'm too busy to have a health routine. It's too expensive. Well, the last time I checked, medication was even more expensive than the food that we need to purchase. So we have to change the way that we think. And then my lifestyle will end up with me being unhealthy and loaded with medications. I just want to encourage you today that if you are on a health journey that has not produced the type of health that you want, then it's time for a change. Just like I said earlier, Elohim, he's concerned about every aspect of our lives. So let's look at this again. Nothing will change until we change the way that we think. I'm being redundant on purpose. Okay, so if my precept is like this, food fuels the body, then okay, I'm at a good starting point. Okay, it's for fuel. It's not just for emotional eating, and we'll get into that later. Number 2, concepts. I'm consciously making healthier choices for my body. And then number 3, convictions. I'm convicted, so I'm going to maintain portion control. Even if I go to in an atmosphere where there's a buffet, I still have control because I'm dominating my situation. I'm not allowing my situation to dominate me. All right. Then number 4, belief system. Our body is a temple. Hey, I'm reminded my body is a temple. I'm not going to abuse what the Father has given me. And then the next one, number 5, ideology. Healthier choices produces better. It will produce a better result. If I have that in mind, I'm focused on the task. I'm focused on the goal. And then the last one, my philosophy. I'm healthier, I'm stronger, and because I have made conscious decisions and I'm making these things applicable to my life. So we have to get to the point where we're saying, you know what? I've had enough of this. Enough is enough. I'm ready for a change. Father, I've been doing it my way long enough. I see that I am overeating. I see that I'm undereating. I see that I'm abusing my body. I see that I'm not as physically active as I have been in the past. Well, Father, help me to change the way that I think. So let's look at this. Let's look at this note that says, enough is enough. It's time out for making excuses and saying, oh, that runs high blood pressure. It runs in my family. High cholesterol, diabetes, that runs in my family. The question is why? Why does it run in your family? Because you're doing the same thing that your family did. You're eating with the same cooking methods. You're buying the same type of food. Someone has to make a difference in their family so that we can say longevity runs in my family. Health, good health runs in my family. So we got to change the way that we think. When we put the work in, we'll get different results. All right, so let's look at the next note. When I walk in my born again spirit with renewed thinking, I will not fulfill the lust of my flesh. Why? Because I am making my body subject to my born again spirit. I'm not controlled by cravings, but I control what I put in my body, and my spirit man can dominate my fleshly man. This is good because in order for me to be healthy, it first starts with how I'm thinking. If I can change the way that I think, then I can change what I'm doing. If I don't change what I'm thinking, I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. And we know that many say that if I continue to do what I'm doing and get the same results, and I think I'm going to get something different, what is that called? That's called insanity. So no, we don't want to be like that. We want to make sure that we are governed by the kingdom precepts about our lives. All right, so let's look at healthy eating habits. Okay, going to our notes here. Number 1, portion size matters. You know, I was talking to someone about doing a meal prep. And a meal prep is really good because it's helping you be conscious of portion control. Now, if you're having problems governing your what you're putting on your plate, you know, controlling your portion size, then a meal prep would be the most effective way that you can go. Now, some people don't have to do a meal prep because they can control what they're putting on their plates. But if you cannot, a great way to save money and a great way to get you on task is to do a meal prep. All right. Number 2, when you eat, it matters. If you're up 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock at night and you're not doing any type of exercise and you're just eating all throughout the day and just doing whatever, it's not going to work. You're defeating the purpose. And then number 3, what you eat matters. It does matter. Okay. And number 4, learn to read the labels. This is very important. We need to make sure that we're staying away from refined sugars and high fructose corn syrup, things that are high in sodium, things that are high in sugars. It's not going to benefit your body. I must say before I go on that this is a disclaimer. I am not a medical doctor. If you need medical advice, talk to your doctor or seek out a holistic doctor to better assist you with your needs. But I do want to share with you, according to kingdom precepts, what the Father has given me. Now let's look at our next note. Abstaining from certain food does not make you more righteous. See, this is very important. We have many people who are going around sending people to hell because they're eating pork, because they're eating shrimp, because they're eating certain types of food. Abstaining from certain foods do not make you more righteous. The religious or ceremonial law does not make you more righteous. If it could do that, then Yeshua, let's look at our notes, would not have to come to shed his blood. If the blood of goats and rams couldn't do it, and if abstaining from certain foods could do it, it doesn't make sense. Some people really feel like if they abstain from pork, shrimp, certain type of fish, that it's going to make you more righteous. It doesn't work that way. Only the blood of Yeshua makes you righteous. We can't get away from that. Because if a person feels like they can just do certain things, as in eating certain foods to make them more righteous, what would be the whole point of Yeshua shedding his blood? So we have to go back to the kingdom precept. Yeshua came to fulfill the law. The religious and ceremonial laws, it couldn't do it. He came to fulfill, and here we have the kingdom law that we are to make sure that we are obeying. All right, so let's look at our next note in Timotheus, Olive 4:4. Here's our answer for those who feel like, well, man, she's going to hell because she's eating that. No, watch this. Verse 1. But the Spirit distinctly says that in the latter times, some shall fall away from the belief, paying attention to misleading spirits. Another translation said deceiving spirits, and teachings of demons, speaking lies in hypocrisy, having been branded their own conscience, forbidding to marry, saying to abstain from foods which Elohim created to be received with thanksgiving by those who believe and know the truth. Because every creature of Elohim is good, and none is to be rejected if it is what? Received with thanksgiving, for it is set apart by the word of Elohim and prayer. So this is an encouragement to everyone. If it is received with thanksgiving, it is to be received. If it is received with thanksgiving and presented in prayer, Elohim does receive it, and we don't have to be concerned about going to hell over something that we have eaten. We've missed the entire concept of what Yeshua was trying to say. Okay, so let's look at this. There are people who have made eating strictly vegetables like a religion. They have become a law unto themselves. Did you know that even Yeshua, he ate meat? What do you think one of the items was at Passover? Let's look at our notes. Yeshua ate meat. Meat was even eaten at the Passover. And it says also in Bereshit 18, it says, look at this, and Yahweh appeared to him by the terebinth tree of Mamre, which he was sitting at the tent in the tent door in the heat of the day. So he lifted his eyes and looked and saw 3 men standing opposite him. And he saw them, and he ran from the tent door to meet them, and bowed himself to the ground and said, Yahweh, if I have now found favor in your eyes, please do not pass your servant by. Please let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And let me bring a piece of bread and refresh your hearts, and then go on. For this is why you have come to your servant. And they said, do as you have said. So Abraham ran into the tent to Sarah and said, hurry, make ready 3 measures of fine flour, knead it, and make cakes. And Abraham ran to the herd to take a tender and good calf. He didn't go get vegetables. He got a good calf and gave it to a young man, and he hurried to prepare it. And then he took curds and milk and the calf which he had prepared, and they set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree as they ate. Who was a part of the they? We were just talking about who was there. Yahweh was there, Abraham. Okay, so if you decide, let's look at this next note. If you decide to be vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, fruitarian, or whatever-tarian, I just made it up. Do it to be more health conscious for whatever is best for your body, not to be more righteous. Righteousness apart from Yeshua is as filthy rags. And we know what filthy rags mean. That's pertaining to the woman's cycle, you know, the menstrual cycle. So we need to make sure that we are not eating and abstaining because of righteous reasons. No. If I know that I don't need a particular type of meat that's high in sodium, then I need to abstain from that. As in, that's not what I need to put in my body. But there are times when your body needs sodium. Did you know that? So if my body needs sodium, then I may need to eat a certain type of something to help build my body up. I'm eating food as a fuel and not because of religious regulations. All right, let's look at our next note, Corinthians olive 10. All is permitted me, but not all do profit. All is permitted me, but not all build up. Let no one seek his own, but each of that of the other. You eat whatever is sold in the what market? In the meat market, asking no questions because of conscience. The earth belongs to Yahweh and all that fills it. And if any of the unbelievers invite you and you wish to go, you eat whatever is set before you, asking no question on account of the conscience. Next slide. And if anyone says to you, this was slaughtered to idols, don't eat it because of the one pointing it out to you. And on the account of the conscience, for the earth belongs to Yahweh and all that fills it. Now I say conscience, not your own, but that of the other. For why is my freedom judged by another's conscience? But if I partake with thanks, there it is again, if I give with thanks, why am I evil spoken of for what I give thanks? Therefore, whatever you eat or drink, whatever you do, do it all to the esteem of Elohim. All right, so, and then it goes on in verse 32, telling us, do not cause anyone to stumble. See, we have to make sure that when we're eating, that if that's a stumbling block to them, if by me eating lamb, if that's going to offend you, and I know that you're an unbeliever, I'm not going to be so concerned about eating that. Okay, so I'm just going to, okay, it's not about that. It's about the kingdom. What is it that you want to eat? We have to just look at it in a different way, not to be a stumbling block. Okay, so let's look at this next note. When dealing with eating healthy, it's a known fact that your body needs a balance of vegetables, fruit, minerals, and proteins. Too much protein in your body will cause various problems. Too much sodium or sugar will also cause various problems. Too much grease in your body will cause problems. So we have to make sure that we're maintaining the proper balance in our diet so that the food that we're eating can be a blessing and not a hindrance to our body. All right, so we were talking about how some people said that certain characteristics or diseases run in their family. No, we have to change what we're saying and change what we're doing. So looking at this next note, eating unhealthy contributes to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart diseases, obesity, being underweight, premature death. All of these, by us eating unhealthy, it will contribute to this. So we're to take control over what is taking control over us. So what does all of this have in common? That's the next question that we want to ask. What does it have in common? Well, I am abusing myself. It has to do with being imbalanced. It has to do with lack of self-control. So we said that our body, it needs salt, but not too much. We said that our body needs sugar, but not too much. We said that our body needs protein, but not too much. We know that we can also get protein from vegetables as well. So we're not saying that you can't get your protein from vegetables, but we're also saying that you can get your protein from meat as well, but maintain portion control. But only in America, here it is, we were just talking about portion control. Only in America has it been taught to eat meat with every meal. Meat for breakfast, meat with lunch, meat with dinner, meat. Okay, yeah. Has anybody ever encouraged you to eat a salad for breakfast? That's a question. All right. Because of overindulgence and improper eating habits, some people, they need to break away from meat for 60 or 90 days to detox the body and to replenish these cells and cause your body to be rebuilt up because of the overproduction of the protein in your body. Okay, so also we want to mention about how our arteries are clogged because of the inflammation of the body, which is causing mucus to stay in the body. So we must detox. How do we do this? We have to change. And we'll talk about this. As a matter of fact, let me hit this now. When you begin to detox your body, the first thing we want to do is go to Elohim in prayer. Ask him, Father, just deal with my heart. Help me to desire the things that's healthy for my body. It begins with prayer. And then when you begin to detox, then you can find different methods of detoxing. As a matter of fact, I have a holistic nutritionist that I can recommend to you that will help you just help out your eating habits, things of that nature. And yes, there is a fee. There's a fee. You're going to have to pay for it. Just like you pay for junk food, you can pay for good advice. All right. So that's if you're interested in hearing from this holistic nutritionist, just email us, inbox us, send us a note, and we'll connect you with this particular person. Okay, so let's get back to our notes. We were talking about detoxing. So when you detox, you're asking the Father to change the way that you think, fast, pray. Don't just go on a diet. Fast, pray, seek the word of Elohim, turn, change, and make your flesh obey. And the last point I wanted to share was that many times when we eat, we are not necessarily hungry, but actually we are dehydrated. So we have to sometimes we're not getting enough water in our body. So make sure that you are pumping yourself up with some water as well. Okay, so let's look at the next note. You are not hungry. It's the chemical called high fructose corn syrup that's sending signals to your brain to tell your brain that you're still hungry. So if we are not paying attention, we'll be consuming this chemical high fructose corn syrup. And I must say that it's in almost everything. I was surprised. So I want you to do as an assignment, I said this before, Go into your cabinet and look and see if there's something on the label that says high fructose corn syrup. If it's on there, that's your starting point. Just start throwing stuff away. Okay, so say no to high fructose corn syrup. They're in carbonated drinks, as we already know. They're in Pop-Tarts, fruit jam, sweet relish, ketchup, mustard. They're in breakfast foods, crackers, cookies, other sauces like Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, which I think is one of the best barbecue sauces that I have tasted. But there's also a natural Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce that you can get that does not have it. You just have to pay attention. Even there are different types of ketchup that you can get that says no high fructose corn syrup. When you go to restaurants, mostly everything that they have, it has high fructose corn syrup in it. Why? Because they want you to continually to come back for more and more. Okay, and then number 7, cupcakes, candy, high fructose corn syrup is in a whole bunch of stuff. So if you want to see more on that, you can go to healthline.com. Okay, so we're talking about controlling. Controlling what? Controlling what's trying to control you. Let's look at our next note. If sex is controlling you, take control over it. We have to dominate our flesh. If food is controlling you, take control over it. If lying is controlling you, cheating is controlling you, take control over it. If your emotions, just totally fits of rage, just outrageous, doing crazy stuff, cutting people off in traffic, just throwing things, outbursts of wrath. If it's controlling you, take control over it. Ambassadors, we can control our circumstances. Whatever you are enslaved to is your master. So we are to take control over it. And let's look at Corinthian Olive. Chapter 6, verse 9. Do you not know that the unrighteous shall not inherit the reign of Elohim? Do not be deceived, neither those who whore, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor the effeminate, nor homosexuals. See, we talk about adultery and homosexuals, but what about the idolaters? The one who idolize not just people, but people who idolize food. All right, verse 10. Nor thieves, nor greedy of gain, nor drunkards, nor rivalers, nor swindlers shall inherit the reign of Elohim, or the kingdom of Elohim. Verse 11, watch this. And such were some of you, but you were washed, but you were set apart, but you were declared right in the name of Yeshua and by the spirit of our Elohim. Okay, so this is important. It says some were, we were like this, but now we're not. Why? Because we are being renewed. We have been transformed by the renewing of our minds. So we choose not to partake in the things that we used to do. Why? Because we are changing the way that we think. Okay, let's skip down to this note about the government. You know, it's funny how during this time, the government is really pushing a certain type of agenda. And because of censorship, I choose not to say certain words, but you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I begin to say that the government will mandate certain types of actions, hoping that you will do something or inject something in your body. So since the government truly care about us as the health of its in the health of its citizens, let's take a look at this. Since the government truly care about us, these are the following things that they're going to do. All fast food restaurants, they're going to be shut down permanently. People are going to be mandated to grow their food, rest the land every 7 years, and raise their own meat, since the meat that's in the grocery stores are being fed trash and pumped up with antibiotics. People will also be mandated to eat correction portion sizes for their own bodies and take nutrition classes from a holistic approach. Smoking is going to be prohibited as well. Instead of pushing capitalism, the Commonwealth system will be strictly enforced. And then lastly, if health care is needed, because if you're eating like this, you're truly going to be healthy. But if health care is needed, it's going to be free to everyone, and despite of any pre-existing conditions. Listen, since this is not going to ever be enforced by the government, we're going to have to put our own measures in place and break free from the cycle of abuse against your own body and the generations to come. I've got to change the way that I think. I've got to change the way that I view food. So we can be healthy and it's not too late. All right. And then we were talking about, if you're serious about making a change, we do have people that you can connect with from a holistic approach to give you nutritional advice. It's time to control what has been controlling you. Okay, so there's something else that I want to share because I'm running out of time here. Religion will have you thinking that you're really doing something when actually you have done nothing but repeated a cycle of time. What I'm seeing over and over, year after year, I'm seeing people go on the Daniel fast and go on the Esther fast or whatever, because in Daniel's fast, for so many days he abstained from pleasurable food. Okay, I get it. But is this the fast that the Father has chosen for you? Is the Esther fast the fast that the Father has chosen for you? If you look at this note, it's showing a picture of a broken cup. I was in the kitchen, ironically, I was in the kitchen one day and I was singing the song, "Fill My Cup, Lord." I lifted up and I was just singing, "Fill my cup, Lord. I lift it up, Lord." And I was just praising and just singing. And then I heard the Lord say, "The cup is broken." I said, "The cup is broken. The cup is broken. The cup is broken." And then the Holy Spirit just began to show me how many people are asking the Father to fill their cup, but the cup is broken. He can't fill us up because we're broken. We're broken from here to there, trying to do this and that, doing everything else except doing the will of the Father. First, we must empty ourselves so that we can fill our cup up with His wisdom, His precepts, His ways of doing things. So we've been talking about health and how we should control our health and make better choices. Well, when my cup is truly full, as in full of His precepts, then I'm not going to do what I want to do. Yeshua said, "Nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done." So if my concept of food, if I look at it differently, knowing that food is used to fuel the body, food is not a religion, it's not a ceremony or a religious routine or anything of that nature. If I know the purpose of it, then I'll be able to walk in alignment and do what the Father has really called me to do. So this is important. I need to come out of religion and be free of all of that. Allow the Spirit of the true Elohim to flow through me so that I can represent the kingdom. The word says, "Let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven." It's all about doing His will. All right, so let's look at this. Look at the note where it's showing this tire. Do you have it? Okay, so what's significant about this tire is this is how we are. Nothing is going to change until the chains of religion are broken off the people of Elohim's mind. In other words, we'll be like dogs returning to its vomit and eating it over again. Significant about this tire is that it's not going anywhere. If we have 4 flat tires, it's not going anywhere until what? We must change. we have to change the way we think, or we're going to be like that flat tire going nowhere, just sitting there. Okay, so when we change, the next step is to detox. What am I doing with this detox? I am deliberately eliminating toxins in my body. I'm flushing my system. I'm praying to Elohim for wisdom, for guidance. I'm praying and asking him to help me break away from bad eating habits. And sometimes we can do this for a few days. We can do it for 7 days, 21 days, however many days it takes us to break away and change what we've been doing. And then in that process, I want to replenish it and purchase organic, healthy food. Okay, and then we talked about meal prep. If you want to do a meal prep, you can, or you can just make sure that you maintain portion control. We're buffeting our bodies and getting control of what's been all over the place. I want to show you something in a minute too. And then also drink spring water, not purified water, but spring water. Now look at this in Yochanan Aleph 2. Verse 15, it says, do not love the world, nor that which is in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Because all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of this world. And the world passes away in the lust of it, but the one doing the desire of Elohim remains forever. Isn't it amazing how Yeshua, he said, you know what, I have food that you don't even know about. And they were saying, what? Who gave him meat? Who gave him food? Who gave them? I didn't see them give it. He said, no, my will is to do the Father's will. So he wasn't so caught up into the eating part. We shouldn't be so caught up into the eating part to the point where this eating releases a chemical or releases dopamine in your body. There are things that releases dopamine in your body, and that's food, music, and drug. These things, they release this dopamine in your body, and it makes it feels like, okay, now I am satisfied. Even sex releases dopamine. But let's go back to the food part. Let's look at the note talking about pleasurable food. So number one, eating high levels or certain food causes a release of dopamine in the brain. And dopamine is responsible for allowing you to feel pleasure, satisfaction, and motivation. And when you feel good and you think that you achieved something, it's because you have a surge of dopamine in your brain. And we talked about those examples: music, drug, food, and even sex. Number two, this can be addictive. Never use food as a reward. Food is not a reward. It is what? It's fuel. Okay. And then number three, get over emotional eating. This is so important because food does not cure depression. Some people, when they get depressed, like, oh man, I'm just going to eat, and this is going to make me feel better. Why? Because what? Dopamine is being released. Food does not cure anxiousness, or food does not, you may think it's going to help you feel better. Like you've heard people say, I've got to have my coffee. Yeah, I got to have my coffee. That's the caffeine calling your name. Take control over it. I said it. Take control over it. I gotta have my Pepsi. I gotta have my Coke. That's that caffeine calling your name. That's that high fructose corn syrup calling your name. Take control over it. If you're not controlling it, it's controlling you. The last thing that I want to share with you, which was amazing to me when I was looking up the word gluttony, because we don't talk about things like that. Like, what? No, let's talk about something else. No, let's talk about gluttony. So this word glutton, it's the Hebrew word zalal, and it's comprised of zayin and then two lameds. So zayin is telling me that something is being cut or something is getting ready to be exposed. And then lamed It means to control, to govern, to teach. But in this aspect that we're talking about control. So instead of you cutting covenant with heaven and using food for its purpose, when you are in gluttony, you are exposing yourself. You have lamed, which means you are out of control. Lamed, this is control intensified. Control intensified. You're supposed to be controlling what's around you, but instead you're out of control because you're doing everything else. So, wow, when you overeat, you're exposing yourself. You're showing and you're demonstrating, I'm out of control. I'm just going to keep on doing this thing. Don't let your flesh dominate you. Dominate the flesh. And then my last 2 points for today is stop using food to escape and to provide temporary relief. Food is fuel. In Yochanan 4:26, Yeshua said to her, I am he, the one who speaks to you. Verse 27, at this, his disciples came. They marveled that he was speaking to a woman, yet no one said, what are you looking for? Why do you speak with her? So the woman left her water pot and went away into the city and said to the people, come see a man who told me everything that I did. Can this be the Messiah? Verse 30, then they went out of the city and they were coming to him. In the meanwhile, the disciples urged them saying, Rabbi, eat. But Yeshua said to them, I have food to eat that you do not know about. And then the disciples therefore said one another, has somebody brought him something to eat? And Yeshua said, my food is to do the will of him who sent me and to accomplish his work. You see, this woman here, it says earlier how when Yeshua began to tell her about her life, she dropped her water pot. And that water pot was significant of something important. She went to get water as a source to replenish. She dropped what she thought was deemed necessary for her life, ran and told others about what Yeshua had said about her life. And then Yeshua, he came on here and said how, and then the disciples told him, come on, Rabbi, eat. He was like, listen, I have meat. My meat is to do the Father's will. So now we want to get to the meat of the matter of today. And the meat of the matter is this. We've been focusing on everything else. It's time to get our bodies back in alignment with the word. Do things that's necessary to buffet our bodies so that we can be disciplined, so that we can do the will of the Father. Some people want to be healthy so they can flaunt their bodies and be in bodybuilder contests and show as much as their curves as possible. That's not the goal. That's not it. We just, as somebody said, you missed me on that one. We're missing it. We want to be healthy as we can be so that we can do what? Work the works of the kingdom. Our true food is to do the will of the kingdom. So it's time to repent. It's time to change the way that we think. It's time to get focused, refocus on why I am here. Why am I here? What's my purpose? What did you call me to do? How am I going to do it? How am I going to achieve this thing? On today, I hope that you have been blessed. I hope your heart has been stirred to the point that you desire change. Nothing is going to change on the outside until we change first on the inside. Be blessed and shalom to you.